Hi, it's Louise at Spiral Bright Insight on March the 5th, and there are a few beautiful galactic alignments that I wanted to talk to you about today. So our sun is at 15 degrees of Pisces, which is the midway point. Now, we have been talking about Pisces ad infinitum over the past few weeks and months, to be honest. And, just to recap, this is the final sign of the zodiac. So there is such a huge focus on endings, on completion, very, very karmic energy. And of course, with Pisces, we are in the realm of mutable water. So with Pisces, there is no form. We are formless. We have to let go of our attachment to anything, particularly the physical and the material world. And we are almost stepping out into all that is this endless, infinite, beautiful, formless, ethereal, mystical, magical energy. So there is a real sense of having to let go, which has been coming up time and time again. And, I'm sure you've heard me talk about that. But what is really beautiful today is the sun is conjunct two fixed stars. Now, I've talked about these stars in previous videos because Saturn spent a lot of time at this or around this degree earlier. Well, last year really, because this Saturn went retrograde over this point. So I have been talking about these stars, but I wanted to give them a little bit more of a spotlight today, because essentially when the sun aligns with a fixed star, the energy of that star is in the spotlight. It gets this huge boost of the solar energy, that power, that force, that light. So these two stars' energy are going to be really powerful for us and definitely working with us today. So they are Achernar, and apologies for my pronunciation. I think a lot of these fixed stars are really difficult to pronounce, so I'm not ever sure if I'm saying it right, but I'll just go with what I sort of am seeing on the page in the Eridanus constellation, and Ankaa in the Phoenicis constellation. So we've got two archetypes stepping forward here. Eridanus is the river and Phoenicis is the phoenix. So really beautiful, beautiful symbolism. I'm going to break them down slightly more in a second. But what I'm finding really interesting is the elemental symbolism and representation here, because obviously with the river in Pisces, we have this really strong water element. But when we bring in the phoenix energy, we add fire. And I'm not going to show the chart in this video, but I have talked just a couple of days ago about the fact that Mercury is now in Aries, Venus is retrograde in Aries. We're going to have the Aries point activated a lot of times this month. So that is really bringing in the fire, and it's this combination of fire and water that I also want to explore in this video. So if you are new to my channel, I'm a galactic and an intuitive astrologer, and I bring forward insight about astrological events. I talk about galactic sort of and cosmic fixed star points and their energies, and also anything that I feel is relevant. So please, if you are new, please like the post, please subscribe to my channel, which is steadily growing, and comment if you find anything in what I have to share either useful, valuable, or sort of resonates with you or triggers you, because that can happen as well. But if that's the case, there is always a reason for it, and it's worth looking at it in more depth. So when we're working with Achernar in the Eridanus constellation, this is a really long constellation. It represents the river. So instantly we are thinking about the flow and the fact that the river starts, at a very sort of small point, potentially, a stream, a source of water coming from the ground. And as it sort of goes and moves through its journey, it gathers speed, it gathers momentum, it grows in force. Now, the thing with rivers is, they do not always follow, well, they don't follow a straight path. They weave sort of around the terrain. They are guided and shaped and formed by the terrain that they are moving through. There will be times in the river where sort of the energy, the river, sorry, not the energy, the water will, maybe start to slow up a little bit, or there may be a blockage. Or in other times, the water will really gather speed and grow and, be really forceful. And the river, we don't always know which direction the river is going to go in necessarily, because it can go off to the left, to the right, but the one thing that we know with the river is that it will always move forward. You can't make water go backwards. You can try and block it off. You can create and build a dam, but ultimately the water will find a way to eventually get round or over or through, and the dam will break. So when the river sort of reaches the end of its journey, it joins a bigger body of water, which either is the sea or the ocean. So the river and Eridanus as a star is very symbolic of our spiritual journey. The fact that, we are very much guided by the limitations or the structure of the physical vessel, which is what the river has to do. The river moves through the natural terrain, the land that it is flowing through. But there is also this acknowledgement that, we are on this journey. We can't necessarily go backwards. And if there is a block, there will be a way to move through it. We may have to go off in different directions that we didn't anticipate, but there is always forward momentum. And we are ultimately moving to the destination, which is ultimately source, and connecting and coming back to all that is at one with the universe and with our higher self. So absolutely beautiful energy. Now, when we're thinking about Archenar, and I see it in the chart, there is often a really strong connection to obviously the water element, but also very magical, mythical energy, because Achernar is said to be a home to sort of elementals, other mythical creatures or magical creatures, fae, pixies, also giants. So there is a real nod with this star today that we may have some really strong elemental in terms of magical energy, creatures, beings working with us, and certainly the spotlight is on that energy for all of us. And there is also a strong association with this star of beings that are working with us to help us break free from and dismantle false timelines and stories, which I always find really fascinating, because it just seems that this is such a big theme and part of the experience and what we are going through now. Obviously, we're all at different stages, but that again is, that's the journey that we've all signed up for. So some of us may be more awake and aware than others, but that is okay, because ultimately, Eridanus reminds us that we are all moving forward, and that the destination for all of us is ultimately the same, but the journey is going to be very different, and it's the journey that is actually the why we are here. And then if we move to talk about the Phoenix constellation and Ankaa, which is at 15 degrees of Pisces, we bring in the energy of the Phoenix. Now, again, this is another mythical, magical bird, and the symbolism is really, really beautiful. Obviously, most of us know about the Phoenix, this creature, this powerful creature that has the ability, to live for a long time. So there is longevity here, endurance, perseverance, but also the idea that at a certain point, at a divine time, the Phoenix knows that, the time has come, and the Phoenix essentially sets itself on fire and burns to the ground, leaving only some ashes. But it is from these ashes that a beautiful new version of the Phoenix is born. And then the Phoenix will live for another 500, 800 years, however long. So there's a real sort of symbolism here of having faith that this is part of the process, that we do have to let go, to almost die, and a version of ourselves has to die in order for the new to come forward. There's very strong themes of alchemy and transformation, which again is part of what we are going through now. There is a real sense of hope as well, and faith, and just knowing that, again, to let go of attachment to the physical and to the form that perhaps we have known and relied on and been very familiar with, again, is part of the process. And as we ascend and as we move into sort of a more empowered and a higher frequency version of ourselves, this is potentially something that we are going to have to do. Certainly we are shedding layers. And, I said this a couple of days ago, but everywhere I turn, people are suffering with, some viruses, illnesses, and I've talked about this before, FLU, frequency light upgrade, or frequency level upgrade. That's for me what it feels like is going on. We are getting bombarded with solar flares. The frequencies are rising, and it is hard for the body to navigate that. We are not used to this level and this sort of power of energy that is sort of coming into our planet, and the body responds by sort of letting go. And the way the body lets go is through these symptoms, the aches, the pains, the coughs, the throats, the sinuses, the tummy as well, and digestive issues. It all seems to be linked. So again, that is just something that has been really sort of coming through to me over the past few years. And I've noticed that every time there's a big sort of push of energy, often there can be quite a widespread reaction and response at a physical level. And certainly I had it a couple of weeks ago, and I know most of my friends have either had it or have it as well at this time. So the other beautiful thing with the Phoenix is the fact that the Phoenix has healing tears. So with all this kind of focus on water and the flow, there is also acknowledgement that water, is such a cleansing and purifying force, and that often, linked to our emotions. Obviously, we have to let our emotions flow. And again, being physical, being human, gives us this opportunity to experience emotion, because that is not always available in other star systems. So this again is part of the process. If we're feeling emotional, if we're feeling kind of a rush of compassion or gratitude, and obviously tears don't always have to be sort of shed in sorrow, they can be joyful as well, sort of nostalgic, remorseful, regretful, reflective. There's so many different ways that we can sort of express our emotion, but often tears and water are part of that. So with these two beautiful galactic fixed star energies being magnified and boosted by the sun today, there is a real strong sort of focus on flow, on surrender, on knowing, on trust, but also an appreciation of the cycle of nature and the connection to nature, and the fact that we are so much in tune with nature. And that is something that we're going to have to almost increase as we move forward. And we're being given this reminder today. So I also wanted just to kind of talk about the elemental representation here, because I was thinking yesterday about the fact, we obviously have strong water. We also have strong fire, and they are said to be oppositional in terms of elemental elements and how they work together. But I was thinking about the combination of these two elements and how, obviously if you have a lot of fire, and we talked about Mercury in Aries potentially triggering some quite heated, angry debates, words, stories, ideas, etc. If we have a lot of water, water can put out the flames, it can soothe, so there is that opportunity here. But if you get the balance right, when we have a lot of fire and we add water, we create steam. Now, again, everything in this world seems to have different layers, different levels, and different ways of interpretation. And strong steam is going to cloud the vision. I think if you have a bath or a shower, the mirrors steam up and you can't actually see very clearly. And of course, with Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, there is a sense of cloudy blurriness. Things are not clear. We can't see exactly what's going on. And with this combination of water and fire, again, that is likely to almost be enhanced over these days and weeks as Neptune stays at this degree and we're still working with strong water, strong fire. But steam is also very much used to clean, to purify, to cleanse. I don't know if you've ever used a steam cleaner in your home, but they seem to be able to get rid of the dirt and grime much more easily than just a normal sort of, cloth and water. If you have a cold or you're congested, the recommendation is to hang your head over a bowl of steaming water, and that helps to clean the airways. And again, it feels like this is part of the process that we are going through. So we can use the steam that is created through the combination of these elements to help to purify, to help to clean away, to help to clear. It's absolutely beautiful. And of course, there is also this acknowledgement that you're taking two elements and they are changing form, which is so alchemical. We're using the fire, of the phoenix, the water of the river. And as we combine them, there is this beautiful alchemical process and a new form is created. Steam is, this combination of the two. We're using the fire to burn away the old, we're using the water to cleanse, purify, and both effectively are purifying and transmuting and cleansing what it is that we need to release and let go of. So as we do shed, as we do surrender, as we do let go, the energies and the beautiful force of nature is helping us with that process, and almost to, I want to say, tidy up for us, so it's as if, yes, it's a messy process. Change and transformation often is, but nature and earth and Mother Earth are taking care of the clearing up, so that once we have moved through it, we're not going to have to look back and sort of deal with it all, because it has been taken care for us. And that feels like a really beautiful channeled message, because I'm not entirely sure where that came from. And of course, also when you're thinking about steam can rise up above. It will evaporate, it dissolves, it just evaporates into nothing. But with the steam being created from this fire and water, there is a nod that we are being invited to rise up, to see things from a different perspective, because we are coming into and taking on a new form. And again, this is part of the process, part of the journey, is helping and supporting us to transcend, to elevate, to step into and to reach and to achieve a higher frequency, a higher state and a higher form. So as we combine these two forces, these two elements, effectively, we have got a huge catalyst. And this is going to be the case for all of March and quite possibly beyond as well, with the eclipses coming into play as well, with Venus in retrograde, with Mercury getting ready to station retrograde, with Neptune at this anaretic degree. There is just so much going on. So the old is very much being destroyed. We are in this destruction, creation process at this time, but the support is absolutely there, and it is something that we have to surrender to and just allow it to happen. Like the river, often you can't, it's very hard to, if you've got a really strong river, it's very hard to swim against the current and to try and swim upstream. It's much easier to let go and be swept along. And some people might see that as just letting go and letting losing control. And yes, there is an element of that. We are in strong Pisces, that it's very hard to control. Obviously we've got Saturn in Pisces trying to give us some sort of grounding, some sort of structure, but ultimately we do have to let go at this time. We do have to release control. South Node is in Virgo. We have to let go of that order, that control, that need to know, understand and have a reason for everything. And this is very much the time that we all came for. So just one last thing about the chart today. With Mercury at 2 degrees of Aries, he is opposite the supergalactic center. So this in galactic astrology is a super powerful cosmic point. And, I'm going to say in a nutshell, because I could talk about this point quite extensively, but this is about, especially when opposite Mercury, stretching the mind and our understanding way beyond where we might have been before. So if there are new ideas coming in, if you are being asked to maybe consider something new and that feels crazy, that feels out of time, then this is really what the Mercury opposite the supergalactic center is bringing up. And it's all by design. It's designed to kind of give us this opportunity to move beyond the barriers, to dismantle those false timelines that I mentioned earlier with Eridanus, and this is very much being supported at a very, very high cosmic level. So with Mercury opposite the supergalactic center, we're possibly going to want to know more. And the supergalactic center is requiring that we do know more, that we ask more, that we want to be more, and that we're almost having to step into that void, that cosmic womb, that point of creation with Mercury and beginning of Aries. Again, this is like, what can we create within our heads, within our minds? What mindset, what new paradigms, what new beliefs can we create? And again, we have this cosmic energy almost pulling us, it's like, don't kind of stay to what you've always done. Yes, you want to start something new. You Mercury, you are in Aries, but consider, this huge potential, this huge cosmic, galactic, universal energy, to help. And that's kind of almost like a distraction today, but a welcome one, because it forces growth, it forces it creates some tension through the opposition, but it's a tension that's designed to really stretch us and make us grow and expand. So that is really, really super cool and really beautiful kind of in the background as well. So I will be coming on to talk about the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse, which is coming up next week. That one is huge. It's very close to my ascendant. So, and I know a lot of people that I do readings for have got points and angles around that sort of 22, 23, 24 degrees of Virgo. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to share about that. But I hope for today, things are crazy at the moment. The energies are weird. It's very intense. We are struggling. We are suffering. Our body's not used to it. And there is so much resistance. I've woken up with a sore back today. It's like, oh, I do so much to try and keep myself moving and supple, and yet, again, I just feel it's the energies coming through and it's the body's way trying to process, trying to integrate, but it's not easy because we've not been here before. This is uncharted territory, but we have this beautiful galactic energy lighting up, sort of infusing us, empowering us, just beautiful light. And working with this fire and this water energy too is just such a blessing. So if you have got this far, I always say this at the end, but I do have a mailing list. So if you want to be on my mailing list, you will be among the first to hear about my course when it is launched, hopefully in about 6 to 8 weeks' time. And also I send monthly updates and just to share what is going on in the energies. If you want to work with me, I have a list of the readings that I offer on the services page of my website, spiralbright.co.uk. And if you found this video useful, valuable, inspiring, it's resonated, and you want to show your appreciation, I've got a super thanks button and a PayPal address, and I welcome all contributions because anyone who creates content will know it takes a lot of time and it does take me away from my client work, although I do really endeavour as much as possible to balance it out because this is something that I just love doing. So I'm going to leave it there. Have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and sending you lots of love.